In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. And see sunshine, and you just feel the moonshine. Things like a play of mine, you come behind. Yes, I'm gone to Carolina in the night. Cabin sees the silver sun, best walk her away and watch it shine. Watch her watch the morning come. A silver tear appearing now. I'm crying. Ain't I gone to Carolina in my mind? Ain't no doubt in no one's mind. Love finds thing around. Whisper something soft kind. Hey, baby, sky's on fire. I'm dying, gone to Carolina in my mind. In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Angels like a friend of mine, swing me from behind. Yes, I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Dark inside, late last night, I think I might have heard the highway call. Geese in flight, dogs bite. Signs that might be omens say I'm going. I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. With all the most of all
Hello?
standing around.
I didn't know we're still gonna be in here or not.
So I'm moving the office in here and keeping the studio.
Nice. This is a little bit more space. I mean, it's open too.
Alexa, shut up.
Well, I like that song.
I love James Taylor.
I do too. That's one of the reasons why I named my son James, believe it or not.
Ah,
One of the reasons. Also a family name. So yeah. And I bet Jen will be here. I'm sure she will. I almost zoomed in actually because my son had a seizure this morning, so they're just getting more frequent, and I'm getting ready to leave to Salt Lake. But I have to
Joy.
take her down to St. George today.
did she bake her cake?
No, I told her you didn't have time. I said you have to do it on Easter. She's a really good kid. She really is. She's like, she looks.
Just so you know, we are
That's okay.
we
She
are
looks just
live.
like-
So
She's my biological daughter. Well, my biological daughter's a lot shorter. So this one here, she rates my closet. The other one wouldn't be caught dead in any of my clothes. No. Yeah. But she's like, I can stay home by myself. I'm like, no, you can't. Because we have a space heater in her room.
oh yeah, you'll burn the house down. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know how long this is gone. Hospital, so I don't want to do that to myself.
Pete's
Yeah.
deal is dry.
Okay, that's good.
I told him he needs to, it was weird the way they did that. So they've got that alley. And so his floor is like this much lower than that alley where the water runs through.
Mhm.
And like that part of his wall is concrete. And then they just like plastered over it. And then there's like a hump, and then there's a stick and drywall wall. I told him he needs to rip out that wall down to the cinder blocks,
He's not going to do anything.
and he needs to, or have somebody do, but he needs
Well,
to
so where does-
waterproof that and then build a wall that goes floor to ceiling
where does?
Hello.
Hello. Where does the HOA come in to tell him that he has to do it? Because,
He doesn't have to, but I mean, if he wants to
Right.
stop the leaking,
well, he can't keep coming back to the HOA. asking
well, no,
us
he
to
knows
do
that, he knows that we're not covering that.
And
That's
he's
not our
not
responsibility.
Gonna do it. He won't put.
Well, he
anything-
said he would talk to Stacy about it. So he's coming up on the 21st.
All right. yeah.
And he wanted to know how much he owed me, and I told him nothing. He said, I'll take you to dinner. Milts.
that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's just one old Marine helping another. I made sure he understood that that was not the HOA. Okay, we're all here. Let's call this meeting of the HOA to order. We've already approved all the minutes. That's good. All I've really got for the president's report is snow removal. When we get into the financial report, you'll see that this bill for $2,900 is not in there. I sent him a check in February. It was check number 2209, and it was sent on February 20th. So I called him and asked him to please look around
Yeah.
and see if that check is someplace, and he said he would. And he would call me back and let me know before I cancel that check and send him another check.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that,
That's why when I got the bill the other day, I said.
yeah, I also told him to send the bills to me now, so they'll come to me.
Yeah. They told him to go to the website, but that's okay.
Yeah, so anyway, that he's gonna get back to me and let me know if that check is around, or if not, we'll have to cancel that check and send them another one. So that's not in the financial report. The check was in last month's financial report. So that was really all I had for that. We're at 217% of snowpack, and our $2,900 bill for February and March shows us that we are. And we're supposed to get hit again this week. So, we've got our aged receivables. Ashley Tippett has still got that late fee for $60. And that's about to roll over into 60 days. So she'll get another $30 late fee for the $60 late fee if it hits 60 days.
Late fees on late fees.
Yep, absolutely. Chase has not paid this month. Jennifer.
Yes.
Lee Larson has not paid this month, which is unusual. So I'm wondering what's going on with that. This Margene Allen, that's actually a prepayment for April. So that -150 is what she owes. She's already paid for April. And that's the same with the Wachowskis. They paid for April. Pete, you've already talked to Pete. The Bowers have a $30 late fee that they're about to hit 60 days on. Okay. And then that's not correct. Oh, no, Trevor and Weston, they have a, so what I do when I have somebody who hasn't paid, let's say they had an invoice that wasn't paid, and I think this one was December. Their next invoice that comes in pays for that past one, so they don't get late
Yeah.
fees. So they're not current on this one. So they've got one back from like December that they haven't paid. So we need to reach out to them. Do you want to do that? Okay. I think it was December. I'd have to go back and look, but whenever they do pay, I pay that the most delinquent one to help them avoid getting those late fees. I think with our snow removal, we actually had a deficit this month. Oh, God, help us. So we're at 38,000 and change. And that will go down with that $2,900 if we have to pay the $2,900. That is assuming that he got the payment for last month of $1,290. So that 38,000 minus the 1,290 will go down 1,645. Or it'll go down 2,900. If he has that check or not. We have made $500 on our CDs.
Oh, good. That's
So
good.
that's better than it just sitting there doing nothing.
Absolutely.
So we'll take it. And that's just been in a couple months. We did have a couple of annual fees, Zoom, and the blank cameras came due this month. So that's about $300 worth of annual fees that we only have to pay once. And that's pretty much it. For that. Vice President, anything to report? That's not under new business.
Okay. No, I don't. I didn't look at the CBD business.
Okay. Got anything to report? That's not under new business?
It's not under new business?
Yeah.
No, you're. Okay, so what else? The curbing you guys had?
That's all under new business.
Oh, it is, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. It's number, okay, I just. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Okay.
Is there anything else that I told you that was? I don't think so.
So moving on to new business then. Did you get an email from Unit 5 regarding the wall?
Was I the only one that got it?
No,
No,
we
they
all,
sent it to
I'm
us.
wondering if we all got it.
So they didn't send it to all of us, but I didn't know if you got it.
I did.
Okay.
So I was slotted. I had a guy coming next week to rip out their wall and put up a fence.
Oh, okay.
And so I had gotten two bids. One was for $5,000 and one was for $7,000, but the $5,000 bid did not take into consideration if they pull out that wall, all that water coming off the lawn, going into their yard and flooding their yard. The $7,000 bid did. So I was going to have him do it. Because he was going to build a retaining wall there to divert water so their yard didn't flood if it was just a fence. And he was ready to come out.
This is for a wood fence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't want
So
that.
now they don't want a wood fence. Here's the problem. The $7,000 was for a wood fence. It's going to be $10,000 to $15,000 for a wall. And we don't have the budget for that. But that wall needs to come down. It is dangerous.
It is.
It needs to come down ASAP. So the option is they can wait until we have the money, but we're going to take the wall down. And they'll have no wall. Or they can get a fence. Or what else? I was kind of hoping they would jump on, but they have not.
Yeah, I thought maybe they would too, since they sent that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have the reserves for a $15,000 wall. This should have been taken care of when it happened.
Exactly.
Why this dragged on for 5 years is beyond me. But now it's 5 times more expensive than it would have been if it had been taken care of when it happened. So, and we never should have settled with $3,000 from the insurance company. That's just stupid.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
I know that I heard they got $1,000 or something.
No, I think there was $1,000 deductible or something like that.
Oh,
So we had $1,000 deductible, and then, so it was, they were saying it's gonna be $4,000 to fix that. Well, that was 5 years ago.
they got a settlement for $3,000 from the insurance company.
Yep. And I guess that just went into general funds and it didn't get fixed. And I don't know if that's Steve Corey. I guess it would have to have been Steve Corey
I don't know when
But-
the fence fell.
about 5 years ago. So, so I don't know what to tell them, but
Well, we can't do it. We can't, if we don't have the money, we can't do it.
yeah. So you had an idea.
My
About-
idea was to budget for next year, next spring. And just put money into a separate account for it, or set money aside for it, just for the wall. Like, just set it up as this is the money for the wall. I've been watching Dave Ramsey for years, and what he does is put money in envelopes. right?
Yeah.
So you just get a little envelope, you put, this is for the wall and unit.
Do we charge them a special assessment? To
Do
help
we
cover it?
charge them a
Yeah,
special assessment?
for letting this go on for freaking 5 years.
Well, she was an HOA for a year, like.
They were, yeah, they were the HOA, yeah, he was the president of the HOA.
Listen, here's the thing. It doesn't bother, that fence does not bother me. Because
If it
it's not
falls
my
on James,
fence.
it will.
You
It's
know what?
dangerous.
I'm with James,
And I hear you on that as far as the danger goes and something, but he never is by himself, but there are other kids like Lee's kid who's right next to it. And by the way, whoever it was left the church key sitting in. the
Yeah,
lawn.
you know, it's still
I
sitting.
definitely took it home because I think it might have been Lee's kid, because he's the one that's outside playing and he's such a good kid. He's just boy, they're doing stuff, but they took it and stuck it in the fence. And I said, oh no, so we're just gonna take it out.
They're trying to pry the wall down. It was gonna fall on them. Yeah, that wall needs to come down. That wall is a huge insurance liability.
Yeah, so what do you can put a chain link fence up really cheap compared to.
That's what there's down
There
at
won't
the
be
other
any-
end.
There won't, and then they could put
But do
some,
we do that, do we pay for that and then budget for the?
If they want anything above that, they can pay for it.
well. I mean, we have a $3,000 budget if you ask me, because that's what was paid from the insurance company. I mean, that's just,
Yeah,
um,
I mean, how much of the responsibility do we as a board assume for the inaction of the previous board?
so we can't. And
And-
they were part of the board.
Yeah,
And they were part of the board and they were part of that $3,000. And so it's their fence, it's their responsibility for the CCNRs to take care of their fence. We can
Yeah.
afford the 3,000.
we did $3,000 worth of damage to it.
So we can pay the 3,000, and that's what the insurance company determined. Otherwise, because I'm just saying, if it was my fence and it fell down, I would be, and I know that Diane has been trying to.
Well,
take part in
4,000.
it.
Because I think we should eat the deductible too.
Yeah, that's fine. But
since-
they were trying to take part in it, but then there was no HOA in place for them to do anything about it. And I know what that feels like firsthand, trying to get meetings together. And this group we have right now, everything here is probably because of a lot of things I did. When I came in, I started asking questions like realtors do, how much money's in reserves? I'm gonna buy a house. I want to know what I'm buying.
Yeah,
They
there were
can sell things,
none.
And then I'm selling the house and these people have the same questions, right? So anyway, there wasn't very good organization. I feel like they did what they could at the time. And $3,000 or $4,000, so $4,000 is in the budget. It sounds like fair. But they could, I don't want to throw them under the bus. They're my neighbors, but they can afford to.
Well, here's the thing though, even if we do the $4,000 and put up a chain link fence,
I think that's doable.
there still needs to be some kind of water drainage
Well, with
mitigation.
chain link fence, you've got water drainage.
Yeah, right into the yard.
Yeah.
No, the problem is coming from up in the parking lot
Mhm.
without a wall there to divert the water out. It's gonna go right into their yard.
Because
And that's
the-
why that guy who gave me the $7,000 bid, he was gonna
Yeah.
build a retaining wall there and put fence on top of that. So that it would divert that water away from their yard. We don't want to flood their yard. Every time the sprinklers go on, they're gonna have a swamp in the backyard.
I understand. I mean, it's not.
But that
I
retaining
mean, it's
wall is
just a
gonna be
matter
a
of
grand.
what they're gonna charge to do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
It isn't that difficult to figure out. If water runs downhill, dig the trench where the water wants to go.
Well, we got a trench. It
Well,
just runs under the sidewalk.
It's just not right. It's not right. It wasn't done right. I
No,
know.
it wasn't. It absolutely wasn't done right. So. Yeah, so that's kind of where I sit on that. I think there's some shared responsibility. They were on the board, they both were, and this didn't get fixed.
Well, and it's not gonna get fixed until they start showing up to meetings and saying something about it, because it's their house.
Yeah.
I hate saying that, but you know what, if it's something that's part of your unit and you want it done, you have to show up and you have to tell people. So they wrote a letter. That is a form of communication.
Mhm.
And it is acceptable that we can see and hear what, and I,
But we needed to meet to discuss that letter before we
yes.
could respond to them even.
So that.
So if they had jumped in on this meeting, then they could have been part of this discussion and.
Yeah, and so I agree with a lot of things in that letter. I didn't agree with the wood fence in the beginning, if you recall, but then again, I'm looking at it from a real estate perspective and the values that she mentioned in the letter. It is true. But, two people outvote one. What do you want? I mean, I could say whatever I want towards it.
Well, but at the
unless
time,
everyone
they
is with it-
wanted to
And
do
they
go
were
that
okay with it.
direction. So. It's like,
Yeah, what are you gonna do? I can tell you what I think, but But I think the people that that get the most enjoyment out of the fence should be part of the conversation. And just the letter alone isn't enough, and maybe we need to talk about that before we.
Well, I think there's some options available to us. One is we get a bid for the wall.
And
And
then save for it. But then it's
or
a waiting game.
we come up with an equitable number. Whether that's $4,000, whether that's half. Acknowledging that the previous HOA board should have taken care of this. Or we let them get a bid and we say, here's your money, you cover the rest. Or we charge them a special assessment every month and put that aside. And then we pay to have the wall done. Because that wall can't stay.
Oh, yeah.
It can't. The liability to us is
And
huge.
you told me that those kids were shoving something in it, that. they're
Somebody
lucky
did. I didn't
That's a
see
ton
it,
coming
but,
down
like,
on
I
it. That
know
would kill them.
It
It's,
could be bad.
I dropped a chunk of concrete this big by this big on a kid's finger and it sliced it right off when I was a kid. That was one little chunk of concrete. Can you imagine that whole wall coming down on a kid?
and really all it takes is just the wrong move, and it,
Yeah.
honestly, you wouldn't even have a warning if you were with James and you're pushing him and it decided to come down.
And there's a potential there. If that falls on somebody, we could actually be criminally charged for negligent homicide. Because we didn't fix that. So I think whatever happens, whatever we ultimately decide, that wall's coming down in a week. He was ready to go. He said, next week I'll be out there with my crew.
Well, and this is the time of the year that this kind of work needs to be done, and we had planned to do it.
Well, especially
Right.
before everything starts, well, at drain, like the.
Yeah, the
Snow
drainage
flies
was gonna be,
melting.
it's gonna be bad too. I've already talked to the county commissioners about what our plan is for sandbags and preparing. If all of this melts at once, Enoch is gonna get flooded
Yeah.
bad. So, so what do we do?
Some big floods that my section has had water up to the doors.
At your house?
Mhm.
So that was one of the things on here is flood insurance, but
Flood insurance is
we do not.
individual.
Yeah, it's
That's an
individual.
thing, and that's-
So, well, I don't want to get there yet, but let's finish talking about the wall for a minute.
So it's $4,000 is what was given,
$4,000 was given to us 5 years ago.
understand,
Do we
that's what we have to work with.
say maybe 7 because of inflation has been, since 5 years?
Get the insurance claim on it.
No.
I mean, then we don't have.
Once they pay, they're done.
I mean, if you have $4,000 that's supposed to go to something and it didn't get used towards it,
But whose fault is that?
Well, had they put that in a CD, there would have been
know
an
whose fault it
increase,
is?
and
you know whose fault it is? It's every owner in their's fault. That's whose fault it is, okay? The thing fell down before I even was an owner, but everybody in there, everybody who owns an Eastgate is responsible for being a part of the board.
So
And if they
should we
don't
pay
do
more
it-
money than
Well,
the claim and the deductible? That's the question. I mean, what's fair and equitable? I would say half.
Because nobody took on the task of being
Correct.
responsible for it, to getting it done. I mean, I know that they were trying to, but then there's a property manager who's not holding meetings and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. So-
2 of them, apparently.
So there's all kinds of things that didn't happen right. So we're here to try and make it right. And we know we have $4,000 to work with. And we know that they want an additional $3,000, and that's gonna cover the water diversion part that wasn't done in the first place. The only question is why was that ignored from the insurance company in the first place? That's my question.
Well, I think my understanding, and I may be wrong on this, and maybe somebody who's got more historical knowledge of this can fill me in, but my understanding is when the city came in and put in the new water meter,
That's it, that's what happened.
that's what
it was.
leaked and it caused the damage
Okay,
to the
but-
wall. So we
Well-
should have gone after the city for
Right,
that,
and now.
but it's too late. It's been
Yeah,
done. It's,
exactly.
we accepted the insurance claim. I think to be equitable, my suggestion would be we get a bid on it and we pay half. And if they can't come up with the other half, we pay the whole thing, and we charge them a special assessment of $100 a month
If they're willing to
until
do
it's
that,
paid off.
yeah. If they're
I
willing
don't
to
know
do
if it's a matter of if they're willing at this
Yeah.
point.
So that's just it. And they're not here. So they write a letter. We've talked about it. Next piece of business, because we can't make decisions about people.
Well, we can tell them what we're willing to do.
Yeah, that's right.
So what do we communicate that we're willing to do? Does that sound fair? Getting a bid, paying half, if they can't come up with the other half, paying 100% and charging a special assessment to be determined until their half is paid for.
I mean, that's still, you're probably looking at least $7,000 that we're paying.
Well,
Yeah.
we already
So,
have
and we-
$7,000. The guy's willing to come out next.
No,
week.
that's for the fence.
Oh, that's the wood fence.
That's the wood fence. We need to get a bid on, yeah, but that's just a section of about this wide and about this high of concrete.
Tearing down the fence and putting a new fence in and doing the water diversion.
Yeah, that 7,000 includes that, but it doesn't include putting in a cinder block wall.
I understand, but this
So-
is temporary. If they want a cinder block wall, that's a whole nother issue.
Well, what I'm saying is, if they don't want a fence,
Right,
we get a bid on a wall,
okay,
we pay half of that bid. And they pay the other half. If they can't come up with the other half right off the bat, let's say we're paying $7,000, let's say it's $14,000, we pay $7,000, they pay $7,000. If they don't have the $7,000, we pay the entire $14,000, have the wall replaced, and then we charge them a special assessment for their half until that's paid. A monthly special assessment until that's paid. To me, that seems the most fair.
Yeah.
That's, we go to them and say, this is what we're willing to do. Whether they want to do that or not, that,
That's an additional 3,000 above what the HOA was paid.
Yeah.
And
but I mean, if we just need to get a bid before we even go down that road. Cause we have other things that everybody in there uses that are also very dangerous, not just the wall,
like what?
like the roads.
Yeah, they're not dangerous, but
Well, they could be.
they're not great for your vehicle. They're bumpy, but I don't know that they're dangerous.
And then we have the curbing that you want to talk about, and now we'll solve that danger issue over there.
Yeah.
But it's, this is a small town, it's dark,
No, it's not. We have the brightest light in town.
in my backyard.
No,
Not pavement areas where you're walking around.
and that's something we need to look at for maybe in the future. I just don't know how people would feel about big bright lights in the parking lot shining in their windows at night.
I don't like it, but
I have mine on a timer,
I've got a motion detector,
and
so
my light outside by my garage is on till 11 o'clock.
so that light
I
is
can change
mine
it till midnight.
all
or
night,
1 or 2.
and I have probably the light, it doesn't bother me. It's the people who have to drive in and out through the one entrance that we are allowed to use when Chase doesn't have his people parking in the other entrance, because when they pull in, the light shines right in through my window. So it's always been the issue. I'll just put curtains up. Don't like it, put the house up for sale and move, because there's only so much that HOA is gonna do.
yeah.
I'm just saying, I knew what I was buying when I bought it, so.
And I've never known anything but, and I've been there for 17 years, and I never have we ever been able to use that Chase's.
Yeah, when that was the Beehive Homes
It was the Beehive Home.
driveway. Yeah, that
Everybody went through it though.
Well, that was,
I drove through it for 2 years.
only when there was not a vehicle parked there, but there was always a nurse car there, or sometimes an ambulance was parked there, sometimes.
They were always.
I've been there 14 years, you've been there 17 years, so I can tell you,
ours, because.
it's always been part of the Beehive driveway.
It doesn't matter. The pig belongs to the HOA.
It does, but your personal issues with Chase do not get to interfere with
Chase
anything.
has been owner of that property forever. So it isn't about that. It's about the pavement, and the taxes are paid by the HOA, and it's property that's owned by the HOA, and it's shared by all the
But
homeowners.
every homeowner in that place has a driveway in front of their house,
They're
and
not.
that's his driveway. Doesn't matter.
Mine is.
Yeah, yours is blocked up. Yeah.
Your-
All
your
of them,
driveway?
yeah, all of them up.
Oh, is it?
All of the two-story ones are blacked up. Yeah,
Because the rest. of
because I just fixed Ashley's down
Did you fix
spout.
it finally? Oh, good. 'cause
And
kept
I was
thinking-
noticing that it's blacktop right up to the garage. And there's kind of a hole right there that it's starting to,
They have those
that might need to
area.
get filled too.
Ashley's.
numbers.
Third one down, I don't know what number that is, but
12, 11, 10, number 10. She's right next to Lee. So Lee's there and then Ashley,
Okay.
they're all rentals. They rent that all out.
yeah.
But I'm glad you fixed that because I keep seeing it. and I'm
Yeah,
glad-
but I had to put an extension to bring it away from that hole that's forming, right? It's about this big, right
There's-
where the garage meets the asphalt. So we might want to get some of that cold pack
Yeah,
and just fill that up. She can pay for that, though. But yeah, every unit has its own driveway. And that unit shouldn't be any different in that regard. So,
Is the asphalt.
yeah,
already
mine's
there,
cracking though. Mine's cracking bad.
But
Yeah. In fact, I'm gonna patch it as soon as the weather gets a little nicer.
The driveway, the problem is egress and egress of the entire complex. And so when it was designed for everybody to come and go through both of those areas. So.
I don't think so. They put a house right at the end of,
right next to the driveway was designed for drainage, because it has the grate there.
Yeah.
It was not designed.
and there's 3 ways in and out.
Water.
It's
Yeah,
not the only
there
way in and
is.
out. There's 3
There
ways in
is.
and out. So, so what do we do about this issue? Do we go to them with that and say, this is what we're willing to do? Do we have another suggestion?
For block-
You know,
so-
it's not a bad idea to say, let's get a bid. and-
But either way, that wall's gotta come back
It does.
like
absolutely.
ASAP.
But because if the bid that comes in is $20,000, are we willing to pay 10?
Can't you rent the chain link fence temporarily?
You can rent chain link fence panels. You can't pour concrete and put posts in.
No,
temporarily.
but just to have a fence there,
Yeah,
temporarily until.
I've rented those before to put temporary fencing around concerts and stuff.
Mhm.
After about 6 months, you might as well have bought a fence.
Yeah,
They're, yeah,
so that's the issue. Take the wall down, but they're the ones without a wall in the backyard. And I don't think that they have a problem with that based upon what they said in the letter. The question is how long will it be that they don't have a fence? And, so does it go on that, and would they agree to what you're proposing?
I don't know. We gotta ask them, right? But what do we take to them? That's the issue.
So that's what, I'm fine with that.
But you're right, we do need to have a cap. Because if
Yeah.
it does come in at $20,000, we're not paying 10,000.
Yeah.
There needs to be a
That's why
cap,
we need to have the bid first.
$7,000 cap.
Yeah. I mean, that's $3,000 above what the insurance gave us.
And with
5 years ago.
inflation, 5 years,
Yeah.
that's about. I think that's fair.
I do too.
I think it sucks for them,
I do too, but
but I think it's fair.
Well, everybody else has been complaining about it too, and I mean, it looks nice to have things look the right way. But it isn't something that everybody in there cares about. And the roads are important too, so. But I think honestly, as much as I would rather see the roads get fixed than their fence, because it's not my fence, it's their fence, right? It's fair to say that what should have been done should be done first before we move on with new endeavors.
Yeah.
And.
Well, we don't have the funds to do the new endeavors either,
No, we don't.
so
No, we don't.
we're a long way from that.
Spending money to fix things that
It's
should
gonna be longer to get there, yeah.
get done. So. There's that whole,
So is that what I take? Do I have a motion that that's what I take back to them?
motion,
A second,
a second,
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're gonna take to them $7,000 maximum half up to $7,000. They have to come up with the rest. And if they can't come up with the rest, we will pay for the whole thing and then charge them a special assessment to be determined based on what that actual cost is. All right. So tell us about bid for curbing.
So when you are talking about, you've got a guy that's ready. I have the guy that went over and looked at it.
Uh-huh.
This bid includes putting rebar,
Oh, okay, good,
Into
because there
the-
is rebar in what's there.
part of it,
Yeah,
not all of it, but he said, do you want me to bid it with rebar? And I said, yes.
okay.
And so then there's a small load fee, which is $800 if you don't get a certain amount. So if we were to combine, you know, if we were to work it out that your guy doing the wall
The short
and
wall,
him were to, you know, I'm sure the short wall isn't going to take an entire, whatever the.
yeah, because we're buying $200 worth of concrete and then the short is 4 times that.
Right.
The small load fee is 4 times what we're buying. Can't we
Because
just buy ready mix?
that, well, or Heartcrete. Because, you know, that Heartcrete would be a little bit more than 200, but it's gonna be a lot less.
Less than 800.
$1,000.
Yeah,
So that is what I got, because I said I.
I mean, that
I
shouldn't
need
take
it
more
in
than
writing.
4 bags of Ready-Crete.
I mean, it, I don't know,
They're like $25 a bag,
how big of a bag,
50-pound bag.
it might, I mean, I don't know, concrete is not my.
I'll go rent the mixer from Ahern.
And
To avoid an $800 small load fee, that's,
you know, we can talk to him about this if we, the price minus that $800 is something
that $800, I could buy the plywood
right?
to build the form. I could rent the mixer, I could buy the bags of Quikrete, I could do
Well,
it
I
myself.
think He, called like your Quikrete or, you know, any of that. I said, most importantly, I need to have it in writing so that we don't have any surprises like we did on the asphalt.
Oh, yeah.
So when I texted him today, he was at work. And I didn't wanna, you know. bother him
Yeah,
while he
there's
was-
no way we're gonna pay an $800 small load fee. We'll go buy bags of concrete and
Say $160 per delivery fee. And that would be anything that they delivered, everything from we're just bringing you some rebar.
were they,
$260 delivery fee.
did they bring you any ready mix or did they,
They brought me bags of
so
problem
the
I had-
bags, you gotta mix it yourself, yeah.
Hired a man he had his own mixer and he mixed it and
Yeah.
did the work, but the bricks, all the materials that I got, and every time they deliver something, it's 160 or $180, whatever. And it didn't matter if it was just like a few bars of rebar, or if it was a bit, because they bring the same big truck out.
Yep. No, I
and
get
they-
that.
And so, yeah, one
But-
delivery fee is the
Well,
right way to
and
go, but
honestly, I mean,
not 800.
I'm willing to talk to him and I know that he'll look at different options as well.
Yeah, does he have to have ready mix or can he use Quikrete?
I'll ask that. I can ask.
Because we can rent him a mixer if he doesn't have one. That's like a $25 daily rental at
So
Abrams.
talk about the difference in product, but the delivery fee, when they.
Well, we're not gonna
deliver-
have him deliver it. That's
not
the
for
thing. If we get,
$800.
if we get bags of
So what
Quikrete,
is
I'm gonna
that?
drive my truck over to Home Depot and I'm gonna load
That- you
5 or
can-
6 bags in there and
What is your guy gonna do for contract?
I don't know yet. I don't know the answer.
And that, you know, that's where I'm.
He
saying-
probably would do that. He would probably go get dry mix it and pour it.
If you get somebody like Rocky Ridge, it doesn't have to be them, I'm just saying, the way they do it makes sense, because they have their little forklift on the back of the truck, they have all the materials, they just, and then.
Well, we're not talking about that though. We're talking about having Sunrock come out with a big cement mixer truck
Okay.
and dump.
Okay.
That's what that $800 is for.
Okay.
And
But then they have to dump in 2 different areas and both people that are doing the.
They're
work.
right there together.
they're right there again, but they have to coordinate timing that they have to be there at the same time.
It's ready.
But knowing Matt, he's probably gonna go over to Home Depot, grab some bags of Quikrete, mix them
I
up,
really don't. would probably
form
do
it
that as
and
well.
dump it.
He just went and got his contractor's license so that he can do, a lot of this stuff afterward.
Well,
'cause
for
it's-
that price, I'll do it myself. And I'll charge you half as much.
You asked- we got rid of the $100 service.
Yeah, if we got rid of that $800 fee, that'd be, I'll go rent them a mixer and I'll even take my trailer over and load it up with Quikrete and we can do it that way, but paying $800 to have a half yard of cement brought out by Sunrock, that's insane.
He called, got a price, he was surprised, and I said.
If
"Throw
you can
something
even
together."
get it right now, if you can even get a ready
That's true,
mix.
but-
I've got guys who do cement for a living and they can't get it.
Well, yeah,
They buy thousands of yards a year and they can't get it.
Well, I got lucky.
No, you were getting
I look-
Quikrete, you weren't getting ready mix.
Well, but I got both and I didn't know what I was getting because I was just trying to buy the materials that they told me they needed and they said this or that. So I have extra stuff in my garage.
No, you don't have ready mix in your garage. Ready mix is already in the truck mixed.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying.
There's different stuff in different bags. And it's all about the same price and it comes on pallets and it will rip your back for if you're
Oh, yeah.
putting one bag at a time.
And the favorite trick used to be to get a guy to see if he could lift it up over his head. And while he does that, you take a razor knife and slice it and it's.
Shane did a lot of work for me and because of his truck and he helped and he was hurting pretty good. So I know.
Yeah, moving those 50-pound bags is no joke, but $800 for a half a yard well, actually $1,000 for half a yard of ready mix. That's no, that's not. Cause I don't know, we don't need a half a yard.
I will, I don't do this, and I will talk to him about that. I know that, you know, the labor and other materials includes the rebar. And, you know, I just said I needed to bring that today because you would
Yeah.
ask me to.
Well, and the other
So-
thing, though, once we have that in place, we need to get your blacktop guy out there to give us a price on fixing that patch of asphalt. So that doesn't turn into a mud when it starts getting all that rain coming down.
Right.
It's gonna turn into a massive mud puddle. But not $1,400. All right, so taxes. We've been paying $1,500 a year to Hinton Burdock to file our taxes. I found the accountants that did the forensic accounting for me, they're gonna do it for $1,000. So that saves us $500 right off the bat. That's for 2022. Going forward, because we got our 501c4, our taxes are now a postcard,
So what
a postcard.
postcard?
And it won't cost us anything to file. So we'll be saving $1,500 a year going forward, which is worth the $650 investment. But she should have those. I'd hope she'd have them today, but she needed some more information off our previous tax returns that I got her today, so she might have those tomorrow.
No more taxes? After the
We don't
2022?
have to pay taxes. We've never had to pay taxes,
Taxes have always been.
but we're
um,
not.
Voluntary, but then if you don't pay them, there's always. some
Well,
sort of thing that
we're
comes with
in
it.
a community association, so we're not required. We file on a form 1120H. We don't file a 1099. We don't file a W-9, a W-2. The 1120H is for community associations. The 501c4 is literally like the name of the organization, the address of the organization, what your revenue was, and that's it. But we've never had to pay taxes because we're not a taxable entity. Well, we're not supposed to be a taxable entity, but we definitely aren't now. So hopefully I'll have those tomorrow. Our insurance is coming up. I've got Waweep Insurance working on, based on what we had, to see if they can get something around the same.
They see that wall, right, and that being more. If it's a liability. as
Yeah.
You guys say it is, then
That's June, so we got until June. Let's get it
better get the
fixed.
wall down.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know. No insurance companies.
So we may have flooding this year. I have mixed feelings about urging people to get flood insurance.
The problem is we have a settling issue. And so settling comes from water.
Mhm.
And so if people don't already have flood insurance and they end up with a flooding issue because of their settling, that's when they come to us and ask us.
Well, it's worse than that.
That's-
So my concern is, do we make everybody get flood insurance because they're shared units? Because they're all duplexes. If your house goes down and you don't have flood insurance, but your attached neighbor does,
Yeah. Well.
that creates a big problem. Flood insurance is about $200 a year. And I mean, the other thing is we should be requiring everybody to have homeowners insurance too. We should want to have on file their certificates of homeowners insurance. You can if you don't have a mortgage.
If you have a certain amount of your mortgage paid. But it just depends. We have a lot of issues in that complex that haven't been dealt with properly in the past, and
Well, because of the shared units, I think we need to require homeowners insurance certificates on file every year.
if we don't, like right now. Really, when I got a loan on my place, I got an FHA loan. Okay, but one of the questions I kept asking the property manager was, do we have an FHA certificate on file? Why do I know about that? Because I've been a realtor for a long time, and when you go in to buy a property and there's no FHA certificate on file, then your loan doesn't go through. And so if the loan company found out that there wasn't a certificate on file, I don't know what they would do now.
How do
But
we get a certificate on file?
the certificate has to be reported to the federal government about how many rentals are in there. Right now, we have so many rentals in there, that it probably isn't gonna qualify. So that's a national certificate, but if they're loaning money to people on the property, I think it's a moot point. I mind my own business and I got my loan.
Okay, well, so aside from that, insurance wise, do we mandate a
For flood
certificate? Well, first of all, do we mandate that homeowners insurance certificate on file for every unit because they're shared? If they weren't shared, I wouldn't care. Your house burns down, that's your problem.
Right.
But if your house burns down and it's attached to my house, that becomes both of our problem.
Right.
And my homeowner's insurance isn't going to cover your half, but your half without my half is not anything. So
Yeah, and the roofs, they're not covered. I've never seen the HOA not cover those, but then, it doesn't say and the roof on there. And so
No.
it's all going to be an issue because there's a shared law and because it's a community. So these, you've got 3 people here who own their houses at the meeting, and you have 25 units in there or whatever.
24.
So I think those are issues that everybody really should, I think we have a lot of smart homeowners, and even if they're renting their homes out, I would like to hear what they have to say, or what do they think about this? Because,
We can lament the non-participation of the members of the HOA all day long, but it falls on us to do it. So do we do it?
well, homeowners insurance can include flood insurance, but it usually
It
is
has to be a rider.
a separate
yeah.
deal.
It has to be a rider,
So-
or you get federal flood insurance, and that is sketchy at best.
The way these places were built and the corners that were cut, I can't believe there hasn't been a lot of lawsuits already, but,
So first issue is, do we require a certificate of homeowners insurance on file?
I think that's a good
Every year.
idea. I think that's.
Do I have a
great idea.
motion?
So I do have homeowners insurance, but it was my choice because of,
Because you're paid off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so, it was really hard to get it all figured out because of the policy that is with the association. So those who don't have it, like we need what it covers, I had.
Yeah, so the common area coverage doesn't cover any of the structure.
It, I thought it covered some of the exterior wall.
I don't think so. No, not according to the CCNRs. Pretty much from where the yard meets the house is yours. So we have,
Remember, because
we have covered some water things within the house because we have a common water system. And if you've got a leaky toilet, we all pay for it. So I know the HOA is covered. I had a bad main pressure valve. And the HOA brought out a plumber and he replaced it. So I think we've covered some of that stuff because of the shared nature of our water system. We all pay for somebody else's leak.
Right.
But I don't think anything structurally, like Pete wanted he had a leak in his bedroom and he wanted the HOA to cover that. And we don't cover that. And his insurance said that's flooding and wouldn't cover it. It's not flooding, it's a leak. But
I don't know what his insurance policy says.
it's USAA,
Yeah,
so
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now that those homes are built with monoblocks, who some people think they're the greatest thing in the world.
mm,
But because I sell them, they're not. It's not a matter of if they'll fail, it's when.
what are they?
The monoblock, the system
plumbing.
is the.
Oh, God, I hate those manifolds, those big,
polyethylene
They-
piping.
yeah, so mine have frozen up and you can't turn them off, they
Mine-
snap off.
Mine gets a manifold for it.
And, oh, no, I bypassed all of it because
Yeah,
they still
I
have.
would
they
too,
still have
Yeah.
The.
The little.
they're all
What about-
pegs, they're all
so
pegs.
polybutyl, so it's
Oh,
all gray stuff.
pegs A or something,
It's just the gray that they,
mine's not, mine's red and blue.
then yours might be, because it's a little bit newer, maybe, but,
I think mine's
mine's
pegs
the
A.
gray with the red and blue
So
stripes.
it's not polybutylene piping, but it's PEX, right?
Polybutylene is the old stuff.
The old stuff, it's more brittle too.
That had that in it. My first home that I bought had that, and I had a leak. And I had homeowner's insurance, and I had to go through a real process to get the leak fixed and spend a lot of money to get copper plumbing put into my place. And I didn't have an HOA, but I learned about the class action lawsuit.
It's
I know about it, but
come and gone.
and I
lately.
don't like the
Yeah,
PEX.
There's no more left.
But the PEX everybody says is good, and they say it's better than that.
It's better than polybutylene, it's not better than copper,
Agreed.
but
Anyway, mine did leak.
Yeah.
And it went down my wall, it flooded my whole floor.
did your insurance cover it?
That's when I got my insurance.
Oh, you didn't have it before
I
then?
did not-
Oh, so my mom
Well,
had
I
a
did go
pinhole.
into- Did go into the other unit, and the people that owned it previously, I went in there and said, hey, my house just flooded, it was the pipe it went down the pipe that went into the backyard for the hose bib that's in the backyard, and it got there, the little closet, it got it a little bit wet, the carpet.
Okay,
And so I just said, hey, air it out, whatever, if you have problems, let me know, and they were
That's fine.
fine. But that's why I think that the insurance is good, because I caught it early enough. And
so my mom had a pinhole leak in a pipe when they had that freeze in St. George. She got a pinhole. New cabinets, new flooring in her kitchen, new countertops, new carpet, new walls, new ceiling downstairs, all paid for by her insurance company. No question asked. They put her up in a hotel room for 3 weeks, paid for her meals, paid for everything. So for what they're telling Pete, I'm just going, this is not a flood, this is a leak.
He has to share information with me before I can learn what he has.
See what if you want to see what his,
That this is not gonna be an HOA.
it's not.
issue.
And I told him when I fixed it that
So
it was one old Marine helping another old Marine. It's not,
insurance agent came out, they gave him access to the home so he could take pictures of it, and he started asking me questions, and he wanted to know if this was a previous problem, which I do know it was, but I told him, I've only owned here for 2 years, because I'm not gonna sell us out to some insurance agent who needs to pay the claim for his insurance policy. But I could win that for him, probably.
so going back,
Yeah.
do we mandate a certificate of insurance for every unit on file every year.
If we do that, it could save our HOA money for our insurance policy. And do you?
Maybe, because I think our insurance policy only covers the common area. Yeah, it doesn't cover anything on those units.
Sure that the CCNRs say that the exterior maintenance of the building is covered, because that is in pretty much most of the HOA
I don't believe it
CCNRs.
does. They define it. I
And
don't have them
then-
right here with me, but they
but
define it as the unit.
So then what it usually says after that is it then says, and the roof. And in ours, it does not say and the roof. And so that's how I learned about the roof not being covered. But then again, luckily my unit had the roof replaced.
Okay,
before
I'm
I-
gonna make a motion that we require every unit to have homeowner's insurance certificate on file with the HOA by July 1st of every year. Do I have a second?
By July 1st
Uh-huh,
of this year,
of every year,
Every year.
so we know it's up to date.
of every year.
We'll keep a file of all of that
Okay.
insurance information. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, flood insurance now. So we're gonna get slammed. I'm petrified after seeing what happened to Enoch. Flood insurance did not cover most of that damage because they said it was sewer backup. And this is why I don't like the federal flood insurance program, because it's pretty much a big scam. But it's not that expensive. Do we encourage everybody to get flood insurance? Do we require it? Because again, the shared unit issue,
I would encourage it. I wouldn't require it yet. But, I think that when people start getting a certificate of HOA insurance, and if we encourage that they get a flood rider on it.
that's
because
not a bad
that
idea.
would
yeah.
save money, you really, I'm not sure about HOA law as far as what you can mandate. I think you can probably do anything you want. But what I do know is that there are flood zones.
Yeah, we're
and
not in a
they're
flood
required-
zone,
And then they are required to have
But
flood
we
insurance.
do have runoff issues and we do have settling issues.
Yeah,
We
we
have
do.
cracked foundations, we have all that stuff,
and
which is the issue that Pete was
even
having.
if PEX is better than reeling piping, I still feel like it can flood.
Yeah, but that's not a flood.
So anything can flood.
Yeah, that's not a
anything
flood
can
though.
And because.
Flood is a
we can
natural
flood
act of God.
And we
That's not a leak.
share the unit with somebody,
Your regular insurance would cover if,
If your piping or something went, that's your insurance.
and
That's
that's
just flood.
how it happened for me in that situation.
it's,
Yeah.
right, it's not flood insurance, it's your regular insurance that would cover.
I feel like we're built on a hill, and it would be a little bit much to actually, I think it would be good to encourage people to have flood insurance, to check into it. Because there's probably a lot of owners in there that don't have loans on their property and don't have, maybe they don't even have an insurance policy. So right now, that's a big step up right there, just asking, making them to require to have insurance.
But that's the other thing. What value do we have require them to have insurance?
Well, if they don't, I mean, their insurance is gonna be based on the value of the property, so they're gonna come out.
Well, but so when I got mine, they asked me, how much would it cost to rebuild it?
Yeah, but that's not the, so,
It's not just my unit though.
No,
It's-
exactly.
That's the problem.
yeah.
So it'd have to be the combined insurance of both of us would be enough to
So
rebuild.
homeowners insurance, typically speaking, if I'm right about this, I think, is really for people who have mortgages on their property.
Unless you're rich enough to just build a house out of your pocket. I don't know that that's true.
And so you're looking at a lot of different policies that cover a lot of different things, sort of like a home warranty. By a home warranty, it could cover a list of things. Every home warranty is gonna be different. Every insurance policy is gonna be different. So if you just want to require people to have an insurance policy, I think that's good, and we motioned that, and we've already approved that. But we weren't specific about amounts or anything. That's up to them. All we're telling them is that we as the HOA don't want to be accountable for their individual units if there's damage inside. Because
Do we stipulate a rebuild cost?
That's up to them and the insurance company. They're gonna have their own individual, you know,
They get a $20,000 policy, they might as well not have a policy.
and then there's just one of our units is gone then, because,
Yeah,
you know, the homeowner collects 20 grand and we don't have one more
no,
unit.
2 of our units are gone.
Yeah, or 3.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
And there's no way to make right for the people that did have insurance to cover their side, but the other people didn't.
so all of this,
I guess that could become a civil suit between the 2 of them, but that doesn't do anything for the number of units that we have within the
I think
complex.
that the CCNRs might need to be looked at by an attorney, and I think that they might need to be revised. I don't think they're very good. I think they're very loose.
Well, that's your
And
job.
that could come to naught. But for us to
It's-
sit here and go into these things detailed by detailed, it's opening a can of worms. I mean, that is what an.
Well, we have the flexibility under the CCNRs to do something like that.
And we can, though there's so many things that need to be done.
Yeah, but
This is just one of them.
bring those up and put them on the agenda for our next meeting, but we're talking about this one right now.
These things happen, but there's a lot of things that could happen. And I don't know if any HOA is 100% protected from.
No, of course not.
But you know, any of our homeowners, honestly, most of the people in there are really good people. If we've asked them to do something, they do it. And asking them.
I'm thinking about the people who are paid up for and maybe renting,
Yep,
and they're counting on their renters to have renters insurance,
well,
which doesn't cover the replacement cost of the building,
true.
just covers the goods inside. I say we mandate it to the cost of replacement to rebuild.
That they need to have a good insurance policy to the value of the property.
Has to cover up to rebuilding the property.
Is that, what does your policy read?
It says that what is the value of the house on the general market right now? And then the replacement cost plus all of the furnishings inside. So it's got a dollar amount for replacement. I think it's 200,000.
Mhm.
And then all of the goods inside, I think is another 150,000. So it's, you know. And that's gonna have to fluctuate with the market.
Right.
So what the replacement cost is today, 10 years from now, I think it'll be the replacement cost. Probably be twice as much. So,
I just think there's gonna be a better way to word it. And that's why I mentioned an attorney or doing some research on what other HOAs who have things like that written in there, how we can do that in a way that's fair and it's worded properly.
the problem is so many of the other HOAs are not joined units. We've got to find some that are
There's a
joined
lot of
units.
HOAs that have joined units and
That's-
shared common walls, lots of them. So maybe April 11th, that's a question that we could bring down there to the
Yeah.
legislature and ask what they have.
Well, it's not gonna be the legislature there. It's just a legislative briefing that people who've gone and,
It's a good group of people
Heard
that ask
from the-
questions about this
Yeah.
kind of stuff too.
But I also think that, what about talking to your own insurance agent and saying, what happens to me when
the other people
Insurance.
don't have in coverage and
their coverage is only X amount of money, like what? Or they don't have it at all, or what, like we need to.
oh, you just sue them.
think
I know that's gonna be the answer. I've worked with enough attorneys over the years. It's, you just sue them for it.
They cover yours because you're insured, and then they go after their insurance company is generally what happens.
No, they're not gonna do that.
No,
They're not gonna shell out money they don't have to shell out. Here's your money. Sorry. Here's what we said we'd cover. Oh, well, go buy something else.
I've seen it on, different insurance policies, different things that.
Yeah.
Are covered with.
I can ask Justin when he's working on the common area stuff. I can ask him if there's anything he knows of, but I think, yeah, we do need to have some requirement. So,
Well, I think it's gonna require a little bit more research as far as the amount. And we've made progress with motioning to require a certificate of HOA insurance on file by July 1st every year with a flood rider. that'd be good. It's that being encouraged.
Yeah, so
anyway.
do we require the flood rider or do we recommend it?
I'm just gonna write to be encouraged, but you know, it's a start.
And will they even give us one?
Well, the fact that we're doing this puts us in a position to move forward with it and get a little bit more specific after we get a little more information.
Yeah,
Because I am one to research something before making decision upon it, because, you know. And I think the dollar amount, you're talking about fair market value, that's usually the wording that goes with that.
well, fair market value covers the land, covers the building.
And rebuild cost. is
Rebuild
what-
cost is what we're focused on. Because you're not gonna scrape the land and just sell the land. I don't think the CCNRs let you do that. I don't remember that part specifically, but I'm pretty sure they don't let you scrape the land. and sell it.
Because we can write what we need to into the HOA,
Well, to change the CCNRs though, we have to get all of the members on board. for that.
but if we're requiring them to have a certificate of HOA insurance and you want to get specific about that, that's fine. But that then each homeowner would have to take to their insurance agent and talk to them about that and say, hey, my HOA is gonna require me to get a homeowner's insurance policy that will cover me for fair market value and the rebuild costs if something were to happen. And so that way, everybody's getting the same insurance policy. They can get it from whoever they want to,
Right.
whatever. But we just want the certificate that says that the fair market value and rebuild cost is gonna be covered. And that every year that's updated. And that honestly that could be something that we could take to get our FHA certificate on file. They haven't taken it away from us yet. But nobody knows what it is but me, because I've been a realtor for 23 years.
So do we have one or do we not have one?
If we do, we should have one. Everyone should have one. But if you want to know if you have one, you have to go to the federal site and plug in the tax ID number and ask for it. And then what they're gonna ask for is they're gonna ask us for an updated rental list, and we don't have that right now. We don't have,
Well, do we need to get that?
we do, but the number of units per 25 that we have that are being rented are above what.
Don't we
they're
already know
authorized.
though? Don't we know who's renting?
We do, but the percentage of rentals is too high for us to continue to really qualify for an FHA certificate on file. So it
Then
really
we
should
don't
be
have one.
loaning money from an FHA perspective on any of our properties.
Okay, well, then we don't
So-
have one.
But, you know, I mean, maybe I'm the one who got the last FHA loan in there. I don't know. But
Probably are.
I don't want to say anything to the federal government about it. Because you know, that's what's gonna happen. That just means that everybody that comes in to buy the property, if they're getting an FHA loan, they won't get approved. And that's okay. That means they have to get a conventional loan or they have to have cash. And honestly, it might bring people a better,
Don't say that.
no.
Don't
it
say what
could.
you're gonna say.
No,
Don't say what
you
you're
don't
gonna say.
Because I don't know what you're gonna
I
say.
knew where you're going.
So, but it brings a more stable client into the.
Okay.
Cause you're unstable.
No, financially
Oh.
stable, we're financially stable, so I'm trying to say. for a person-
Somebody's financial status says nothing whatsoever about their integrity or their character or anything else. Okay, moving on to the next item, Roy Peterson. I don't think he's getting the invoices via email or any of our messages or anything. Because he keeps sending his checks to Debbie.
Okay.
I'll call him. I've got his
So
number, and
we may not have a good email address for him or something, but
the problem is that the list that was given to everybody and handed down didn't have him on there. He was Mr. Incognito. So I've got his info and I can reach out to him.
okay, because she's fortunately forwarding his checks with Tom's checks when she pays the dues for Tom every month. But he keeps sending the checks.
Manage his property for him, I don't think.
Yeah, she does.
Oh, she
Okay,
does?
Both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, he specifically said, I want all your communication to go to Debbie. I don't want to ever hear from you again. So, yeah,
Yeah, Tom did, but Roy didn't.
no, but Roy is sending the checks to the previous property manager because he doesn't know that she's not our property manager anymore.
And so when she sends Tom's HOAs, she sends Roy's.
She just forwards it in the envelope.
And why,
But how long is she gonna do that? And
well, if she's getting paid by him to manage his property.
no, she's not managing
that's what I
Roy's.
just
Yeah,
asked.
no, I thought
So
you meant
he-
Tom's.
No, I know she manages
Yeah.
Tom's, but so that's why I didn't think that she managed his, but
I don't
I
know,
don't know.
but he keeps sending the check to the wrong place and we need to make sure he's sending it to the right place.
So you took it to him and I already heard from Trevor and Weston and they're gonna go ahead and pay to get it caught up.
Okay,
I think people just didn't, there was a change and because here we are, what, 6, 7 months out from the change and we still have a homeowner who's still sending it to her instead of us.
and we got Pete sending it to the Cedar City HOA. I told Stacy to remind him, it's not the Cedar City HOA, it's Eastgate. All right, anything else that we need to cover? Next meeting
Is.
is a problem for you?
Well, it would be, if it's the last Thursday or Wednesday in April. I am out of town the 25th through,
Can you
Am I in
zoom in?
March or am I in April?
April 26th.
I don't know because I will be in Indianapolis. for Christmas. I
Indianapolis?
don't know what Delta,
The 26th? You're gonna be in Indianapolis?
yes. I don't know.
We don't have, when are you coming back?
I leave really early on the 25th and I'm back at like midnight on the 27th.
We don't have to have it on a Wednesday. We could have it on the 28th if that,
Friday the 28th.
yeah. If that works for everybody.
Maybe Pete can make it since he likes to come up here on Fridays. And
It's
it's
coming up on the
Fridays,
21st,
I know, maybe we can talk to him and say, hey, come on the 28th instead.
or we could have it on the 21st. I don't,
Let's do it.
that's, I don't know what time he's getting in, but
Usually comes in the afternoon, 5.
I would be fine with the 21st. I mean, I.
or
I
we
would
could
be
have it
fine with-
on, you're leaving on the 25th, we could have it on the 24th.
Yeah.
You might still be here for that. I don't know.
To try to do it.
He said he was gonna tell Stacy to bring him up here and go home. Just
And
leave
leave
him
him
here. Yeah,
Oh, man, yeah, it's gonna be beautiful.
yeah.
You know.
So
it'd
he
nice
might
to
still
have a
be
neighbor
here on the
again, and
24th
so-
if we did it on the 24th.
Let's try it. You wanna try the 21st?
No, I'm thinking the 24th,
Oh, the 24th, that's
Yeah.
a Monday, okay,
if that works for everybody. It works for me.
it does for me.
Okay, let's make it the 24th. It is.
7 o'clock right here.
Yep. Yeah, I'm moving the office into the studio instead of losing the studio and moving to the office, so. At least for the time being. Let's see how long this can last. All right, I make a motion, we adjourn. All in favor? Aye. We had nobody join us via Zoom.
Well, I can say that if I was wanting the HOA to cover, 15 to 20